Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday morning, and I am coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. I am on a street called Lydra Street, and I am towards the end of Lydra Street. And right in front of me is the crossing to what is the occupied northern part of Cyprus, occupied by Turkey. It's been occupied since 1974, and when you cross over from this line right here, which you can see behind me, when you cross over, you are in the occupied side of Cyprus since 1974, when Turkey invaded, and they took two waves of an invasion, and they took 36% of the island. And so you cross over that checkpoint, and you're in no man's land, kind of. I mean, you know, that is occupied territory, and I thought this would be a good place to show everybody this dividing line, and a good place to do a video and talk about some of the news that we have on deck today. And so this is Lydra Street. This is the Republic of Cyprus, and this street, it's an old town Nicosia, and it takes you all the way to the end. And right over there, you have what is the recognized Republic of Cyprus, and you cross over, and you have the Turkish occupied north. And to cross over now, I've crossed over a couple of times. You used to just need like a passport or an ID, and you would just go through the checkpoint and cross over. But now with the COOF and the PCR tests and all of this stuff, it's just, I was thinking of actually taking everybody across, but I don't really want to go through the whole certificate test thing, but maybe I'll think about it. I will think about it. But this is the old part of Cyprus, and this is a good place to talk about what's going on with Turkey and Russia, to talk about Ukraine and the EU, and also to talk about Vladimir Putin's recent statements that he made with regards to the Russian economy, which I thought were interesting. And maybe we'll do a clown world. Actually, I think we'll definitely do a clown world. And this clown world is really, really good. And so let's walk through the old streets here of Nicosia, and we'll talk. So what's going on with Turkey and Russia? Now, Turkey has been very smart to take a very neutral stance with regards to Russia and Ukraine, even though the Turks are doing some interesting things, perhaps maybe even fighting in Ukraine, perhaps selling those drones to Ukraine. On a diplomatic front, they've managed to pretty much keep neutral, even though Turkey is an important, if not the most important, outside of the United States, NATO member. And Victoria Nuland went to Turkey a couple of weeks ago. She tried to persuade the Turks to change their mind vis-a-vis Russia. Erdogan would not budge. They've tried to get the Turks to block entry for Russian ships, and only Russian ships, for the Black Sea. And Turkey has taken a stance that all ships will not enter the Black Sea. So they've taken a very balanced approach there. And let's go walk to the barricades, the military barricades here, right up front. So I think you guys can see them, the green and white. You can see the green and white barrels over there. But what you have right now is you have Turkey now they're going to capitalize on this neutrality from an economic standpoint. Now, Greece and Cyprus being trapped in the European Union, they've had to not only close their airspace to Russia, they've not only had to go along with these crazy sanctions that the EU is forcing them to place against Russia, but the Greek and the Cypriot government have come out for a very weird reason. They've come out vocally to support the Zelensky regime, which is very interesting to see Greeks supporting an NAZI regime. very disheartening, to say the least, that this is happening. But they've been very much on the forefront of supporting Zelensky, to the point where, and here you can see right here. So these are the barricades to the occupied north. And so this is a good place to sit down, I think. Why not? And so you even had the Prime Minister of Greece, Mitsotakis, in one of his most bonehead moves, probably one of the dumbest moves ever made by a Greek Prime Minister in recent times. He actually decided to send 4 planes worth of weapons to support the NAZIs in Ukraine. And the Greeks were furious about this. Mitsotakis also had an Azov NAZI speak to the parliament. The Cypriots had Zelensky speak to the parliament here as well, and he mentioned nothing about the occupied north and the Turkish invasion. He mentioned nothing about it. That was on purpose, because Zelensky got orders from Nuland. It was in his script from Nuland and from the State Department to not mention anything about Turkey, because the priority for the State Department is to not piss Erdogan off. They didn't want to upset Erdogan, so they didn't want Zelensky pointing out the Turkish invasion when he was giving his theater performance in the Cypriot parliament, or in the Greek parliament for that matter. So anyway, what do I want to get to? Well, what is Turkey up to now? Erdogan and the Turkish government, what they're doing, because they have not closed off their airspace to Russia, and they still have friendly relations with Russia. They have an open diplomatic channel with Russia. What they are doing is they're creating a fund, and they're going to pour $300 million into this fund so that they can capitalize on all the Russian tourism that is going to hit Turkey this summer, because there are going to be no Russian tourists in Cyprus or Greece, given the fact that we've closed our airspace and we've sent weapons to Ukraine to kill Russian soldiers. Maria Zakharova said she's not going to forget the betrayal of Greece and the betrayal of Cyprus. And Turkey's going to capitalize on this, and they're just going to gobble up all of the tourism dollars, the tourism euros, the tourism liras that are going to come their way, the rubles that are going to come their way this summer. And it's going to be a lot. Anyone that knows the Russian tourist, I will tell you a couple of things. They are the best tourist to have in your country. When they come to your country, they're very good tourists. They're very respectful of your country and your country's culture and rules and values, and they spend a lot. It's just a true fact. When Russians go to holiday, I mean, money's not an option. They go and they want to enjoy themselves, and they'll eat out, and they'll pour money into the local economy, and they'll buy gifts and visit the local taverns and the restaurants. And I mean, when they're on holiday for a week or 10 days or 2 weeks, they make sure they enjoy themselves. And they contribute to the local economy. And Turkey is going to really benefit from this. So they're pouring $300 million into this program. They're going to give money to hotels, to restaurants, to travel agencies, to make sure that they're ready for the onslaught of Russian tourists that's going to come their way. Turkey is also going to be putting together a dedicated airline, which will be specifically geared to flying Russians from Moscow, St. Petersburg, from all kinds of cities, Kazan, Ekaterinburg, wherever, from all cities in Russia, directly to the tourist spots in Turkey. And there are some rumblings, I don't know if they're true, there are some rumblings that these airlines might even provide direct flights right up here to the occupied north. There are rumors, and that would be big, because this part right here, this occupied north part of Cyprus, is not recognized by any country outside of Turkey. That's the only country, I believe maybe Azerbaijan, but I don't think so. I think Turkey is the only country that recognizes this occupied north of Cyprus. And so you can't have direct commercial flights to the occupied north because it's considered occupied. across the international community. So it would be incredible if Russia actually started to inch towards some sort of formal recognition. It could come in the form of direct flights. Right now, the only way to get to the north side is if you fly here to Cyprus and then cross over, or if you fly to Turkey and then take a flight from Turkey to the occupied north. And so there are rumblings that this could take place, a Turkish airline flying directly from Russia to the occupied north. There are rumblings, even though the Russian embassy, Russian officials have denied this, there are rumors and rumblings that the Russians may actually open up a consulate right up here in the north. And that would be some form of recognition. Now, a consulate is not an embassy. It's just a representative office. But, and it's usually a representative office that deals with passport issuances and stuff like this. Very routine stuff. But it would be a step towards recognition. And the Russians have denied this, but there are rumblings and rumors about this. That would be a huge move. And it would be a move where Russia would really stick it to the Greeks and the Cypriots for betraying them from what they see as a betrayal. That would be a very asymmetric form of retaliation towards Greece, towards Cyprus, and kind of towards the EU to a certain extent, even though the European Union has done nothing to solve the Cyprus problem. Zero. They've done nothing to help Greece or Cyprus at all with regards to dealing with the Turkish occupation. But the Greeks and the Cypriots, we bend over backwards to destroy our economy because the EU tells us to do so, and to destroy our economy for NAZI, Zelensky, and his goons. But that's a different story, perhaps a different video that we should get to. So anyway, let me wrap up that story, and let me get to the fact that, and I'm going to have to pull up my phone here, von der Leyen is now coming out and saying that Ukraine is going to be fast-tracked into the EU. Now, I know there's a lot of people, I've talked about this before, there are a lot of people that tell me, Alex, no way is Ukraine going to get into the EU because it's a long process. It takes 10 years. You have to go through all kinds of checks and regulations and documentations, and you have to adhere to all of these EU rules. But I wouldn't be surprised if they make an exception for Ukraine and they just fast-track Ukraine into the European Union. Turkey's been trying to get into the EU for like 20 years now, 30 years. But even the Turks have kind of forgotten about it. They've said, you know, it's useless. There's no need to deal with trying to get into the EU anymore, and they've kind of forgotten about it. But you can see behind me another dividing right there. That's also, remember, Cyprus. So even, and I won't go over there because there are soldiers there, so I won't go over there to film. But yeah, it's right across here. Right across here is the occupied north. So yeah, von der Leyen is now making statements that, you know what, we're going to fast track Ukraine into the European Union. Now, there are people like Mark Rutte, for example, the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, who's saying, whoa, hold on a minute, Ursula, yes, we'll look at Ukraine's papers and we'll fast track their application, but to get into the EU is going to take a lot of time. But you know, these are ideologues, Ursula von der Leyen, Jean-Michel, Borrell. What are they concerned with? They're concerned with optics, and they want to make it look like they're virtue signaling and they're on the right side of history and they're supporting Zelensky. So don't be surprised if they fast track Ukraine into the European Union. There's also perhaps a geopolitical reason to do this, and it may have to do with adding some legitimacy to the EU's support of Ukraine. In other words, a lot of people in the EU are saying, why are we destroying our economies for a country that is not in the European Union? For example, why should Germany deindustrialize and destroy its entire economy for a country which it has no real formal alliance with, no obligation towards. I mean, there is no alliance to Ukraine at all. It's not a member of the European Union. You start from there. So why should Germany destroy its economy? Well, if Ursula can fast track Ukraine into the European Union, then you add legitimacy to the EU's economic suicide and military suicide for that matter. So there's that. But look, Ursula von der Leyen said that Ukraine has completed the first part of a questionnaire for EU membership in less than a week, and now she's going to give them the second part of this questionnaire, and they're going to fast track their membership into the European Union. The first part of the questionnaire for the EU membership has been sent to the European Commission. This is what the Ukraine representative with regards to getting into the EU said. As was promised by President Zelensky, Ukraine completed the document in 1 week. Very proud. And they've already started working on the second part. So fast track into the EU. And von der Leyen said she wants to show her support for Zelensky. The EU's 27 member states are divided on how to handle Ukraine's application for membership. The leaders of Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Slovakia, and Slovenia have called on EU institutions to conduct steps to immediately grant Ukraine an EU candidate country status and open the process of negotiations. However, you have Germany and you have the Netherlands, which is saying slow down there. I hope they get in. I really hope that the EU just opens the doors wide open for Ukraine, because the EU to take care of the basket case known as Ukraine. This is even before the invasion. Before the invasion, if the EU took in Ukraine, it would have been EU suicide. But for them to do it now, I think would just speed up the EU's collapse. So go for it. That's what I have to say there. Go for it. So we have that. Let's talk about Vladimir Putin and some of the statements that he made during a meeting that he had. And he had a meeting with regards to, and let me pull it up here. The Russian president was talking about domestic affairs. And so Vladimir Putin said at a government meeting on economic issues on Monday that Western nations have failed in their attempts to destabilize the Russian economy with sanctions. Putin said, and I quote, "The situation is stabilizing." With regards to Russia, he's saying the situation is stabilizing. The ruble exchange rate has returned to the levels of the first half of February and is supported by a strong balance of payments. Foreign cash is returning to the country's banking system, and the volume of deposits by citizens is growing. As for the consumer market, after a short rush to buy a number of goods, retail demand has returned to normal. Commodity stocks in retail chains are recovering. This is a quote from Putin. Putin also said the goal of sanctions was to quickly undermine the financial and economic situation in our country, provoke a panic in the markets, trigger a collapse of the banking system, and large-scale shortage of goods in stores. But this policy has failed. The economic blitzkrieg has run aground. That is from Putin. The economic blitzkrieg has run aground. Pretty incredible statements from Putin. He also said that we as Russians need to support our citizens, help them cope with the inflationary wave. In this regard, let me remind you that we made a decision to raise all social payments, pensions, and salaries of residents employed in the public sector. Putin also said that it is necessary to provide maximum assistance to entrepreneurs in solving various problems, import-export problems, including speeding up the transition of foreign trade to settlements in rubles and in the national currencies of countries that are reliable business partners. Economic blitzkrieg has failed. That's according to Putin. He's increasing the salaries of public sector workers, and he's putting in programs to help entrepreneurs and to help them collect those ruble payments. Guys, the sidewalks here in Old Town Nicosia are pretty incredible, aren't they? Yeah, these are some pretty small sidewalks. Anyway, so that is coming from Putin, and those are his statements. Very, very confident, it seems. Very, very confident. And yeah, just that's Putin's take on things. An economic blitzkrieg. What more can you say? Other than he's going about his business. He is going about his business and taking care of his country. That's how it seems. Meanwhile, there are reports that Spain is now telling France that it's going to cut off their electricity exports to France. Now, France doesn't have huge electricity problems or dependencies like Germany has with regards to Russia. But France does import a certain amount of energy from Spain. I believe the number is the amount of energy that they do import from Spain is somewhere along the lines of 34%. It imports 34% of its power from Spain, according to figures from 2020. But Spain is now letting France know that it's going to have to start tapering off its exports of energy to France. So Madrid can't keep the prices down at home without shutting off exports to its northern neighbor, a major newspaper in Spain claims. Spain has informed the European Commission that a joint price reduction plan with Portugal may entail restricting energy sales to France, El País reported on Monday. Madrid is its northern neighbor's largest single supplier of imported electricity, and the potential restriction comes as the entire EU grapples with soaring energy costs. Spain and Portugal agreed in late March to cap the price of gas used in electricity generation to the equivalent of 30 euros per megawatt hour. While Brussels granted both countries an exception to its normal rules and allowed the arrangement to go ahead, Madrid and Lisbon then delivered some bad news to Eurocrats. Spain and Portugal will need to impose some restrictions on energy sales to France. So, while Putin is claiming that this economic sanctions blitzkrieg failed, we have more energy chaos in the European Union. Very interesting. And finally, let's get to a clown world. Let's do a clown world, because I think this video has been going on a little too long. But the clown world has to deal with a Czech Republic, I believe a Czech Republic officer, a deputy. The article says he's a deputy, but I'm not sure if he's a deputy in the police or a deputy in the parliament or something like that. Anyway, this Czech Republic, let's say a public servant. This public servant in the Czech Republic decided to throw a party or to have a get-together, and he had a cheese platter. And the cheese platter, he shaped some of the cheese in a Z shape. This is not a joke. I'll put the photos up right now. So on this platter of food, of goodies, the cheese plate had the cheese shaped in the letter Z. And now we all know what's going on with the letter Z, don't we? And so when he posted these images on social media, I guess Instagram, when he posted all this stuff on social media, and he was proud of this cheese platter with the letter Z on top in the form of cheese, well, the police came knocking on his door. The authorities came knocking on his door. This guy was arrested, and he was eventually fired from his government position. And I think he was a police officer, but I'm not quite sure. Anyway, he was fired because he decided to create a cheese platter and shape the cheese in the letter Z. Clown world, everybody. Clown world. Remember, you can't use the letter Z. You can't put the letter Z on a t-shirt, and you can't put the letter Z on your cheese platter. Remember that. And in the Czech Republic, they did pass laws where if you are openly in support of Russia's special military operation, you could face prison time and a 3,000 euro fine. I reported on this about 3 weeks ago. So the Czech Republic, they're very serious about their Z and V and Russian cancellation. So this government official should have known better. He should have known better. You cannot create cheese platters shaped in the letter Z. Otherwise, you will be fired in the Czech Republic. Anyway, everybody, that is the Clown World story. That is the news. Check out Alexandra's channel. Check out the Duran's channel and go to our locals page, theduran.locals.com. I am signing out for now. Take care.